What's going on, everyone? Hope you're all having a great day. The death of Qui-Gon Jinn changed the entire galaxy forever, as Anakin ended up turning to the dark side and betraying the entire Jedi Order. But what if Qui-Gon survived his battle against Darth Maul? How would this change the Star Wars universe as we know it? Let's dive into it. As the battle raged on between Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Darth Maul, Maul knew these two might provide a bit of a challenge, so he thought it was best to separate the two and take them out one by one. Maul landed a swift kick to Obi-Wan's face, knocking him down the reactor pit. Maul was now one-on-one with the older but much more experienced Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan knew that he had to catch up to Qui-Gon as soon as possible, as his master couldn't take on this monster alone. Obi-Wan harnessed Force speed to quickly catch up to his master, where the battle continued. Maul was cornered and knew he had to take out one of these Jedi as quickly as possible. Maul pretended to let his guard down for a split second, where Obi-Wan took the bait, but lost track of Maul's second lightsaber. When Obi-Wan finally realized what happened, the blade was already through his chest. Qui-Gon screamed in rage. He knew that if he were to fail here, the fate of Anakin would be sealed. He would never become a Jedi like Qui-Gon promised. Qui-Gon and Maul locked in a ferocious battle, but in the end, Qui-Gon's battle experience proved to be the deciding factor as Qui-Gon finally got through Maul's defenses, cutting him in half. Qui-Gon rushed over to a dying Obi-Wan. I'm sorry, Master. I failed you," Obi-Wan said faintly. "No, Obi-Wan. You saved my life. Thank you, my friend." As Obi-Wan's consciousness finally faded, Qui-Gon's tears started to fall on Obi-Wan's face, when suddenly, Qui-Gon's communicator went off. It was Anakin. Qui-Gon told Anakin to land immediately. When Anakin landed, he saw Qui-Gon was all alone, and asked where Obi-Wan was. Qui-Gon could barely get the words out of his mouth, but told Anakin he would tell him later, as they had to return to Coruscant after everything on Naboo was wrapped up. Upon arriving on Coruscant, Qui-Gon called a meeting of the Jedi Council to discuss Anakin's fate, as well as the Sith Lord that he encountered. Qui-Gon asked the Council once again to let him train Anakin, now that Obi-Wan was gone. Yoda quickly butted in, saying, "Too old for the Jedi training this boy is." "Can you not see the boy is the chosen one, Master?" Qui-Gon asked. Plus, with the Sith's return, it's his destiny. Qui-Gon had a look of determination and would not take no for an answer. Mace asked Qui-Gon and Anakin to leave the council chamber for a bit, as they wanted to discuss the matter. Soon after, the two were called back in, where Yoda told them, "Agree to let you train the boy, the council does." Qui-Gon looked down and smiled at Anakin, as their new relationship as master and apprentice had just begun. Over the next 10 years, Anakin was not only trained in the ways of the Jedi, but also how to control his emotions. Qui-Gon was much stricter than Obi-Wan was, and was the true father figure that Anakin needed, rather than the brother figure he got in Obi-Wan in our main timeline. This Anakin was a lot stronger than the one in the original timeline in Attack of the Clones, as at this point he was much more emotionally mature. This leads to the events of Attack of the Clones, where Anakin would begin to have his nightmares about his mother. In the original timeline, Anakin told Obi-Wan about these, and Obi-Wan just told him to be mindful of his thoughts as they betray you. Where Qui-Gon would have a different answer for Anakin. Qui-Gon would tell Anakin to trust his instincts and follow his heart. Anakin and Qui-Gon would make a trip to Tatooine, where Anakin would arrive much sooner in this timeline and would be able to save his mother. Anakin would also have his mother move to Coruscant, where he deemed it being much safer and would free her from the planet that she was a slave for so long. The next events would play out pretty similar, where Anakin would protect Padme, and Qui-Gon instead of Obi-Wan would go to Kamino to track down the bounty hunter, and end up getting captured on Geonosis by the Separatists. Count Dooku would try to convert Qui-Gon to his side, telling Qui-Gon that a Sith Lord is taking control of the Republic, where Qui-Gon would refuse. "Master, you must tell this information to the Jedi Council," Qui-Gon told Dooku. "It's far too late," Dooku responded. "The Jedi Council is just pawns of the Senate now. They are corrupted." Qui-Gon knew there was no way to get through to his old master, and even wondered if the man who trained him and helped raise him was truly gone for good. Leading us to the Battle of Geonosis, where this time, Qui-Gon and Anakin would face Dooku instead of Obi-Wan and Anakin in the original timeline. Where Anakin this time would listen to his master, and they would take on Count Dooku together. Anakin and Qui-Gon would give Dooku a very good fight. As their sabers clashed, Dooku could sense someone more powerful coming. It was Yoda. Dooku knew he could not take on all three at the same time, so he needed to flee. Dooku quickly jumped back and used a wave of force lightning on the ceiling, forcing it to collapse partially. At this moment, Dooku ran to his ship and took off, escaping with the Death Star plans, as the Clone Wars had begun just as they did in the original timeline. After the battle, Qui-Gon met with Yoda and Mace to discuss what Dooku told him. "A part of the dark side, Dooku is. Lies and deception are his way now," Yoda said. "I don't believe he was lying," Qui-Gon responded, "but I do wonder if my master is truly gone." "We're at war now," Mace butted in. "Dooku's trying to create infighting, a very dirty tactic." "But Master, what if he's telling the truth?" What if he's trying to warn us? Qui-Gon responded. Twisted by the dark side, Dooku is, Yoda said. The dark side clouds everything. We'll just keep our eyes open on the matter, but we can't act on it right now, Mace would say, as the three Jedi bowed and took their leave. The events of the Clone Wars would play out pretty much the same, leading us to the Battle of Coruscant, where Qui-Gon and Anakin would go rush to save the Chancellor. Meanwhile, before their inevitable duel, Dooku made one last plea to his master to have them convert Qui-Gon to the dark side instead of Anakin. Master, if I may ask for us to convert Qui-Gon instead of the boy. I know if I were to talk to him, Dooku said, it won't work, Palpatine butted in. Qui-Gon, while his own animal, is still a Jedi at heart. He cannot be changed. You must kill him to provoke Anakin to join our side. I know he means a lot to you, but his sacrifice will not be in vain. It will only spark our guaranteed victory, my apprentice. Dooku reluctantly agreed. Anakin and Qui-Gon would make it to the Chancellor's holding room, where they once again battled Count Dooku. Dooku force-pushed Qui-Gon like he did Obi-Wan, knocking him out, as now he was one-on-one with Anakin. Dooku taunted Anakin to try to get the boy riled up. However, it wasn't working. At this point, Anakin was a much more emotionally grounded fighter, until Dooku pulled out his trump card. As the two paused in their clashes, Dooku said, After I finish you, I'm going to finish killing that senator from Naboo. I might have failed before, but after you're out of the way, she'll be easy prey. At this point, Anakin snapped, giving him to his rage and quickly overpowering Dooku, holding his lightsaber to Dooku's throat. Palpatine would tell Anakin to kill Dooku, but just as Anakin was, he stopped. No, Anakin said, it's not the Jedi way. He must be brought in for questioning. It's the only way to end this war. As Anakin cuffed Dooku, You're making a huge mistake, Anakin, Palpatine pleaded. He cannot be left alive. Anakin was about to say something when he saw Qui-Gon get up and start walking over to them. The four of them would make their way to the ship, where like in the original timeline, they would get trapped in bray shields. Events would play out the same, however this time, Dooku would manage to escape with the rest of the Separatists. After arriving back on Coruscant, Padme would tell Anakin that she's pregnant, and Anakin would start to have nightmares about Padme dying. While bothered by these nightmares, Anakin saved his mother, so at this point, they didn't make Anakin go absolutely insane like they did in the main timeline, however, they would still bother Anakin. Anakin then decided to go give his mother a visit, where he told her about his dreams. His mother would tell him to tell Qui-Gon, as Qui-Gon's guidance helped save her, and he'll do the same for Padme. Anakin, while a little worried what Qui-Gon might say about his marriage, and if the Jedi Council found out he might get expelled, but Anakin agreed with his mother and decided to tell Qui-Gon about his nightmares about Padme. That night, while Qui-Gon was sleeping, he woke up in an instant as he sensed something. Something was off. As he got up from his bed to check things out, he saw a note that had a building number and just said balcony. Qui-Gon grabbed his Jedi robe and went to check it out. When he got to the balcony, he saw a cloaked figure as he readied his lightsaber. The cloaked figure said, "I'm not here for a fight, Qui-Gon." It was Count Dooku. Qui-Gon, still holding onto his lightsaber, asked Dooku what he was doing here. "I was betrayed by that Darth Sidious," Dooku told him. "I know now I was just being used as a pawn." "What are you talking about, Master? I'm going to have to bring you in for questioning from the Jedi Council," Qui-Gon said. "And you think they'll believe me and make the right decision?" Dooku asked. "I'll just be killed anyway." "Killed by who? The Jedi?" Qui-Gon asked. "No, the Chancellor. He's the Sith Lord you've been looking for." Qui-Gon didn't know what to say. He didn't know if Dooku was lying or telling the truth to him. "What are you talking about?" Qui-Gon asked. "His goal is to make Anakin his new apprentice. He tried to get that boy to kill me, but the boy refused," Dooku said. "Why are you telling me this and not the Jedi Council? We can end this together if you work with us," Qui-Gon blurted out. "The Jedi are just blinded by their dogmatic views. Do what you will with this information," as Dooku force-jumped off the balcony into the shadows below. Qui-Gon looked, but he was nowhere to be found. The following day, Qui-Gon was meditating on everything, from Dooku to the war to Darth Sidious. Was Dooku telling the truth, he thought, or was this just some trick? When Anakin walked into the room, "I'm sorry to bother you, Master, but do you have a second?" Anakin asked, as Qui-Gon said, "Of course," and asked Anakin what was on his mind. Anakin told Qui-Gon about the nightmares he was having about Padme and how they were the same as he had about his mother dying before. Anakin also mentioned he heard a rumor of a way to save others from dying and asked Qui-Gon if he knew anything about it. Qui-Gon looked at his apprentice a bit confused at the question and said he'd never heard of such a thing, but would bring Anakin to the restricted section of the Jedi Archive so they could try to find any information they could on it. When Qui-Gon and Anakin finally arrived at the restricted section, they searched a bit, but to no avail. There was nothing about saving others from death. Qui-Gon asked Anakin where he heard this, and Anakin said the Chancellor said something about it to him. Wait, the Chancellor, Qui-Gon thought to himself. How would he know about something like this? Qui-Gon then looked back at Anakin. Anakin, what happened on the invisible hand when I was knocked out? I defeated Count Dooku, but then the Chancellor was trying to get me to kill him, Anakin responded. Dooku was right, Qui-Gon thought. Anakin, we need to get a hold of the Jedi Council immediately. It's an emergency. As Anakin and Qui-Gon went to the Council, Qui-Gon had Anakin tell the Council everything that happened with him and the Chancellor, from his fight with Count Dooku all the way to the story of this Darth Plagueis. The Jedi knew if they were going to take out the Sith once and for all, they would need to act fast. Yoda, who was still on Coruscant at the time, put together a strike team of himself, Mace Windu, Saesee Tiin, Agen Kolar, and Qui-Gon, as Mace told Anakin to wait in the council chamber until they returned, as he sensed the boy was a bit conflicted and was a little too close to the matter. As the 5 Jedi Masters entered Palpatine's office, Palpatine got a little nervous, as he knew this would not end well if he started a fight here and now. Ah, Master Yoda, what can I do for you? A few questions we have for you, Chancellor. Palpatine started to back up a bit. As the 5 Jedi Masters were ready to grab their lightsabers, Palpatine used the Force to summon the 2 lightsabers stored away in his office and spun at the 5 Masters. But in a flash, both Saesee Tiin and Agen Kolar were taken out by this shadow, as Mace, Yoda, and Qui-Gon engaged in the fight. Even with 3 Masters left, Palpatine knew it was going to be a challenge, as fighting Mace or Yoda alone would be trouble. He knew he needed backup. Palpatine flipped back, pulled out his communicator, and said, "Execute Order 66. At the temple, something just didn't seem right. Anakin, while a bit conflicted, was worried for his master Qui-Gon. Would he be able to stand up to someone as powerful as this Sith Lord in his older age? Anakin decided to head to the Chancellor's office and see for himself. Back at the Chancellor's office, this was a difficult fight for the 3 remaining Masters, as not only they had to fight the most powerful Sith Lord in a generation, but trained clones as well, who were once their allies. When 2 clone battalions entered the room about to open fire on the 3 Masters, when suddenly they were all taken out by a wave of Force lightning, when Count Dooku appeared at the doorway. "Ah, my apprentice," Palpatine smirked. "It's time for us to end this once and for all." Dooku ignited a blue lightsaber and stared at Palpatine. "No. It's time for your reign to end," as Dooku readied his weapon now at his former master. The battle raged on as Palpatine was cornered and had to act fast. He force-pushed Qui-Gon, sending him into a wall, as Palpatine threw one of his lightsabers at the Jedi Master who was trying to get up. Qui-Gon closed his eyes, knowing it was over, when he heard a guttural scream in front of him. It was Dooku. He shielded Qui-Gon from the attack. He took one final glance at his former Padawan and told Qui-Gon, "Maybe next time you'll listen to me," as Dooku fell to the floor lifeless. Qui-Gon got up and was about to rush Palpatine when suddenly he heard someone yell, "Master!" It was Anakin. Anakin readied his weapon, ready to join the fight. With Anakin now in the fight, there was almost nothing Palpatine could do against 3 Jedi Masters and the Chosen One. Palpatine was running out of tricks, as there was almost no clones left nearby. They were all completely taken out. Mace and Yoda charged Palpatine, who blocked both their strikes, while Anakin flipped back, thrusting his lightsaber into Palpatine's chest, ending the Sith Lord once and for all. With Palpatine now being outed as a Sith Lord who played both sides of the war, a new Chancellor was elected, as they voted to make Bail Organa the new Chancellor. Bail quickly rescinded Order 66, making it so the remaining Jedi who survived could return to Coruscant in peace. Padme gave birth to Luke and Leia, and lived this time with Anakin by her side. While the Council found out about Anakin and Padme's marriage, they didn't expel Anakin. Instead, they extended an invite to both Skywalker children to be trained as Jedi if Anakin and Padme so desired, as the galaxy was finally at peace. However, in the shadows there lurked one last enemy who would strike when the time came, ready to get revenge on the Jedi, as now he was the new true Sith Master. I hope you enjoyed this story. I do think there was a ton that would have changed if Qui-Gon actually survived, as Anakin would not turn to the dark side, and I think Qui-Gon and Dooku would have a pretty interesting dynamic, which I hope you enjoyed in this story. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.